We've been told that the first people who occupied America, the Native Americans, came here across the Bering Strait. But what if someone told you that when the Native Americans came across the Bering Strait, there were people already living here? These people had an established civilization that not only rivaled that of Egypt in its height, but is also much older. In fact, at the 1996 14th session of the United Nations Summer Conference, these people were recorded as the oldest indigenous people on Earth. In the next few minutes, we'll tell you about a very old and ancient people, the first Americans, the Ouachita de Mound. Although it is known by archaeologists, historians, and anthropologists that an old and ancient people occupied this land before the American Indian, up until recently, not much effort has been made to educate the general public of this fact.
People ask, what are the Washutaw Moors? What's a Ouachita? What's a Moor? And understand, I am a Ouachita Moor. The Ouachita Moors have not gone anywhere. We've not disappeared. We're still here. It's part of American history that most people want to talk about, but beyond just American history, the Ouachita, we have our own history. The history of the Moors is there. It's been twisted and distorted, and it's just murky legends and the stories that kind of hide the evidence of the Ouachita and the Moors. The evidence of the Ouachita is very prevalent. It's just not being promoted and being taught in the education system. No one wants to talk about a race of people who were here, civilized, organized, and giant black people.
The Ouachita are the dark-skinned original inhabitants of North and South America. They have been referred to as the pre-Columbian civilizations, the prehistoric mound builders, the diggers, and the ancient ones. Certified legal documents of colonial and Spanish and French explorers identified the Ouachita as the ancient occupants of America. The Ouachita Nation are akin to the Moors of Northwest Africa and are responsible for building the highly advanced geometric earthworks and sacred burial mounds found all over this continent.
People always ask, who are the mound builders? When did they exist? The mound builders are the indigenous original inhabitants of North and South America. The mound builders did not exist in a vacuum at one time period. We have always been here, and we shall always be here.
Modern science teaches that all the continents on the earth were once connected in one piece of land. They call it Pangea. Washutaw history actually says the same thing as do the scriptures. The Washutaw, the indigenous people of this land that we now call America, were on this land when it was connected in one piece. When this land was connected to what is now called Africa, the Ouachita were on this land that we call America. So the Ouachita do not come from anywhere. We did not come to America from someplace else. We were already here. We have always been here. Back to the time when scientists called the land Pangea, when it was one piece. So we have always been on this land. Poverty Point, located in Pioneer, Louisiana, near Monroe, is recognized as the second largest earthen pyramid in North America. This ancient site, called the Great Bird Mound by the natives, was a cultural center for the advanced temple, mound, pyramid civilization. Poverty Point, as it is currently called, is located in northeastern Louisiana, in Washutaw Parish, in the city of what is now called Monroe, or near Monroe. The Ouachita referred to it as the Bird Mound because there is a very large earthen mound in the shape of a bird with outstretched wings. In some places it measures 70 feet high. The wingspan of the bird is 640 feet, and it actually measures 710 feet from the head to the tail. At the base of the bird, at the foot, there are 6 concentric ridges composed of earth, and the Ouachita actually had their homes located on these ridges that at one time measured as high as 5 feet.
In a Western education world, Poverty Point has been identified as the oldest community in North America, in that Poverty Point was a complete city in construction. Its dynamics, its the civil engineering that went to design the city has been copied for thousands of years, and the community is in the shape of a concentric rings, several concentric rings, and these rings are duplicated over and over again in the U.S. Congress, where the seats are laid out, in the Roman Senate. You go to most entertainment venues, a theater, you'll find that modern day theaters that are acoustically designed are in the same formation as Poverty Point. And Poverty Point being a place that is known to be as old as, or as young as, 12 centuries before the birth of Christ. When you speak of Poverty Point, you speak of a time that wasn't supposed to exist. Poverty Point, at its height, not its beginning, but at its height, was at least 1,000 years before any agriculture was supposed to have occurred in North America. So Poverty Point has served as an anomaly for years when scientists came in and archaeologists came in and argued that there's no way this could exist. As archaeologists go and do research, they don't even have a name for the time period that they find artifacts at Poverty Point. And what's more, at Poverty Point, not only did they find artifacts there that would date back 1,000 years, but they were enduring years, and that these people showed a legacy of continuous occupation at Poverty Point. In that I mean that they would do research and they would dig down 1 foot, and they might find something that was 4,000 years old. A few more inches, find something 5,000 years old. Further down, 6,000 years old. So here you have evidence of a legacy of continuous occupation.
A commonly known place right here in Baton Rouge, the Indian Mounds on LSU campus, is actually a Ouachita site that predates Poverty Point.
We know that history has taught us in Western culture that Indians were a group of hunter-gatherers who supposedly came across the Bering Straits about 12,000 years ago and inhabited North America. And I'm here today to tell you that the mounds are not the product of an Indian culture. They're the product of the indigenous people, the original mound building, pyramid building, woolly head, black people. Here today at LSU we'd explore some of the common history and mythology about the origin of the original civilizations in North America. Here the sign reads, hunter-gatherers built these 2 mounds 5,000 years ago. It goes on to read, they are older than the great Egyptian pyramids and predate Poverty Point, long believed to have been the oldest earthen mounds in North America. So here we have evidence once again of slight contradiction, but it's good because it says they are pyramids and predate the Egyptian pyramids in Egypt.
We now are in the time, and people want to now be informed. Once you present people with the truth is undeniable. Once you present people with the truth is undeniable.
Why are we here today? We're here today to set the record straight. All the black people in North America did not come here on slave ships. All the black people in America did not come on slave ships. There are from time immemorial, beginning of time, there were black people on every piece of land on this planet. Okay? So tonight, I'm going to tell you about the original people not only around the world, but the original people here in Louisiana who are the oldest people found on Earth. Did you know that there's some of the oldest people on the planet found right here in Louisiana? Okay, before it's over, bring it right home to Baton Rouge, okay, and show you some of the oldest people on the planet right here. Okay, so right now, who do you know are the oldest people on the planet? Who's that? Who? Adam and Eve?
Magnesh? Dengnesh.
So-called Lucy.
Dengnesh, okay. Well, how old is Adam and Eve? Is that Adam and Eve? Is Eve named Dank?
No.
Okay. Well, let's deal with some old people we found here in North America, right here. This is an Olmec head. Remember the Olmec head? The Olmecs are thought to be some of the oldest people in North America. We're going to deal with this concept right here. The hidden history of black civilizations in America, okay? There are several civilizations of black people who were right here long before slaves were brought over here, long before any Indians came across the ocean, long before any European explorers came across the ocean. There were a civilization of ancient black people in North America. History records the Olmecs as being the oldest civilization here. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about some other people here. Of course, we've heard about history, about Christopher Columbus. We've given Christopher Columbus our whole life. We know that this is a lie. Okay? There are several books about this. I'm only going to discuss Christopher Columbus. This is not true. Okay? One thing is not true. Let's go on. Also, we're given a history of the African Holocaust, the slave trade. That's part of our history. The slave trade is not our history. We did not do the slave trade. We were victims of the slave trade. The slave trade is a history of Europeans, people from up here, exploiting people down here. Okay? These people up here came out of the Ice Age and began to colonize these people and take all of our resources. Okay? We have the continent of Africa. The continent of Africa is the only continent on the planet that is set into the soil, into the ground. All of the continents, South America, North America, Australia, Greenland, all these continents drift. Africa is set in the ground. Okay? Next. This is the way it was at the beginning of time. All these are once connected. Can you see how South America fits perfectly into Africa? You have right here North America and Africa fitting together. My grandmother in California talked about we ain't come from Africa. My grandmother was 6'3" woman, long hair. She came from what they call the territory, Oklahoma. She always talked about we was more than that. We was more than just African. We was more than just slaves. Okay, go next. Next, one more time. My grandma took the time when the planet was called Mu. Today you hear European accounts of Lemuria, Atlantis, all these lost civilizations. We don't know who they were. These people disappeared. Next. And of course we have Africa. Next. An ancient word for Africa, a Moorish word, is a Mexo. Next. A Kibulan is the indigenous name for the continent we know as Africa. This is the name long before any European named Africa Sipicanus renamed our continent. Here you have Egypt. Egypt is a Greek word. Egypt is a Greek word. We say Greek word because if you've gone to school, you will learn that the Greeks were the first civilization recognized in Europe. Up here. Okay? Go ahead. Next. Ultimately, you will find that the very first people, Degnesh, the oldest woman on the planet, 3.1 million years old. 3.1 million. This might be a problem for some people because I grew up in the church. I always talked about Adam and Eve being the first people on the planet. Adam and Eve, if you listen to any theological scholar, religious scholar, they'll tell you Adam and Eve was roughly 6,000 to 7,000 years old. 6,000 to 7,000 years old, we have a black woman, 3.1 million years old, okay? And I guarantee you she had a mother and a father also. And of course you have Europe. Europe is one of the newest cultures on the planet, okay? When we talk about Europe, we talk about the Caucasians, and we are taught oftentimes right here, this is where Iraq and Iran is, okay? We'll do a little bit of geography for people who are not up on the geography. Iraq and Iran are right here. We're taught that this is the cradle of civilization. Mesopotamia, the Tigris-Euphrates rivers, okay? Yet we know that the people here were here for thousands of years. Ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet, Tameri. We have our ancient ancestors tell us that the oldest people in the planet came to our zenith in Egypt. But we actually began down here at the beginning of the Nile River, the foot of the mountain of the moon, which is called Mount Kilimanjaro. So understand, the oldest people on the planet come from here, and if you're black or white, you're African American. In America, okay? All the people on the planet started here. So understand the time when the world was like this. Next. The Ouachita people. Who are the Ouachita people? The Ouachita people are some of the oldest people on the planet. We were here in North America, next, right here, before the continents drifted apart. Understand, all these people right here, all this land here was once one landmass. People here did not need a boat to go over here. In history, we're taught constantly that somebody had to get a boat and go from over here to over there. The world is flat. Understand that at one point you didn't have to catch the boat and go across over here. Next. The Washutaw here, when the earth was called Mu, next. And when the people were called Muurs, okay? Muurs. Today they say the word Moor, they spell it with two O's, Moor. It comes from the Latin word Moor, M-A-U-R-O, Maro. Maro is a word that simply means black people. A lot of people want to argue, they want to be black, Negro, all these different names. And ultimately, Negro is what? A Spanish word for what? Ultimately, we're all black people. When it comes time, when we're getting jacked up or abused or exploited in some way, we immediately become black. Okay. I am a Moor. Are there any Moors in the house today? We're all a Moor. We're all the Moors. Okay? Next. Then you have the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Toltecs, more Mayans, the Olmecs. Here is where we are taught the first people in North America existed. Up here you have the Ouachita proper. Do you think it's possible that the people here happen to meet the people up here? Yeah. It's possible, huh? Okay, next. Here you have, what's this right here? Where are we right here? Washutaw. That's the Washutaw people, right? And what's right there behind there? What's right here? We got Lake Pontchartrain, huh? We got New Orleans. Now who they say was here? The Washutaw people? The Chawashaw. We got the Wichita up here, okay? We got see this Kushata? That is called Kushata. The Kushata people, okay? Tunica, Natchez, Biloxi, all these are indigenous people, indigenous black people. All this, when the land here is Ouachita. If you ever got a map of the United States, you have the Ouachita River flowing here, up through the Ouachita Forest, over to the Ouachita Mountains. You also have the Ouachita River, the Red River, which runs this way, and ends up the Ouachita River right here, okay? The Ouachita River. When they had the Great Trail of Tears, and the military came in and made all of the Indians get off their land over, next, get off their land over in Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas. They took them all into Oklahoma, into the Ouachita.
You can't see nobody else but yourself. That's what religion is. You must believe in my way or no way. If you don't believe in my way, I have an army. And I'll wipe your people out. And I'll force you to believe my way.
One of the most effective ways to suppress a people is by putting a device in place that will disassociate those people from their God, their spirituality, their culture, their history. So they put a device in place that would ensure their perpetual empowerment over the minds of those whom they deceive.
Aha. Now, you say you never heard of this kind of stuff. The Ouachita people are the original people who built pyramids in North America. You know we have pyramids in North America. We have pyramids over in Egypt. We also have pyramids here in North America, okay? Here you have an article I got from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. This article came out in December 1995, December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. So you can't say the information is not made available. It's just not propagated and given to us. But I am a researcher. I love to read. And tonight I'm going to share with you a few facts I found in my research. All I can do tonight is give you a small table of content, point you along the way, and show you a few things that we have not been told. Okay? Now, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, December 23rd, 1995. Next. It says Southeastern Mounds, Pyramid, okay? Next. Older than the pyramids. It's in the paper now. See, Navigational Constitution. Southeast of Mount older than the pyramids. Okay, next. What are they talking about? Huh? Next. Here you have the bottom of that article, A Chronology of Civilization. They start here with 1400, about the time of Christopher Columbus. They go over here to agriculture, the first agriculture ever in America, when they start digging and planting. Here you have Rome, 753 BC. Here you have the pyramid, the work start on the Great Pyramid in Giza. That's 2575 BC. In the very end, you have evidence of permanent mound building civilizations in Louisiana, 3800 BC. Okay? When they say they found some arrowheads and a few bones and sticks, they found evidence of a permanent civilization in Louisiana. Okay? Not savages. Next. At the heart of it is a place that the ancient people call the Great Bird Mound. Louisiana calls this Poverty Point. They call it Poverty Point because when they got there, they weren't able to grow anything at all. The Europeans who came to this area here, they were starved, they got famine, all kind of things happened. But here, the Great Bird Mound you will find in history was a high place of culture and esteem. This is the place where the ancient civilizations of North America came. This is where we had our pilgrimage. You will find here at Poverty Point in the research artifacts. They can find copper from Michigan. They can find shells from North Carolina. They find minerals from Colorado. They find stuff from Minnesota. All up and down the Mississippi River. And the indigenous name for Mississippi River is the Mississippi River, that stands for the father of all rivers. All along the Mississippi River, you will find people who came down here. And the significance about Poverty Point is that Poverty Point existed before agriculture existed. You have a city here. Look at that, city right there. This is the same way the United States Congress set up, correct? Same way the Roman Senate is set up, correct? This is where we started democracy. We started government, civilization in North America. Next. Here is something they said. Let me break down the article for you here. New evidence of ancient mound cultures in the southeast dating to a time when the region was supposedly populated by simple nomadic hunters is spurring a radical revision of traditional theories. Okay? A radical revision of traditional theories, okay? About people who inhabited North America 6,000 years ago. There were permanent settlements in the southeast United States before pyramids were built in Egypt. Okay, right here it says, an accumulation of carefully dated soil samples and long neglected artifacts from man-made mounds in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Florida show that there were permanent settlements in the southeast before pyramids were built in Egypt, thousands of years earlier than archaeologists once thought possible. Okay, they didn't think it was possible for there to be people here. Next. The Washutaw Moors predate the Olmecs, the Incas, the Aztecs, Toltecs, Mayan civilization in America, but we're all related. It's all the same people. Next. Here you have, he's saying, let me get to where it says Poverty Point. Rousseau says some researchers hesitate to publish data suggesting the mounds they study were older than agriculture. Faced with solid evidence that one mound complex of Poverty Point, Louisiana, complete with a 70-foot high bird-shaped mound and elaborate rows of concentric ridges dated to 1700 BC. That's about 3,000 years ago. Okay. It goes on to talk about carbon dating, and it talks about the existence of people clearly capable of building. Here he is. Now the firm radiocarbon dates from a dozen ancient mound sites in 3 states. Archaeologists say the Poverty Point complex, rather than being an anomaly, actually represents the climax of 2,000 years span of mound building, and that predates the Mayan civilization in Central America. So now you have people in Louisiana 2,000 years older than the oldest people recorded in time. Okay. And here at the end he says you can't find something unless you look for it, and until the last few years we didn't know what to look for. He says some of these sites have been destroyed by developers over the years because no one recognized them for what they really were. And what were they? Archaeologists began to recognize the mounds for what they really are, the outline of the first permanent communities in North America. Okay. Far to the north of Mexico is where? Texas, Louisiana, correct? We got a new group, still unnamed group of people, far to the north of the Olmecs, okay? Olmecs migrated northward and mingled with other people there, okay? Can we name other people? All right. The Olmecs are considered the mother culture of pre-Hispanic Mexico. I was in Los Angeles talking to some of my Mexican friends. They were not trying to hear it. They were not trying to hear it. Okay? It says, an advanced civilization with hydraulic systems, canals, and other technologies make it the oldest and most advanced center of its time, found in what later became Ouachita Indian region, which is just south of Texas. Okay. Evidence once again from USA Today. It says this would be the first depiction of a calendar or calendar elements in such an early time period. Weighed about 20 tons, was found March 2005 by construction workers at Tantuk ruins in San Luis Potosi State near Mexico's northern Gulf Coast. The northern Gulf Coast of Mexico, very close to Louisiana. Next. It says, the theory has not yet been proven or published in scientific journals, though Mayan calendar calculations reach far back in time. The physical calendars themselves are not nearly as found. Artifacts, judging from their internal evidence, range in age from roughly 2,200 to 1,800 years, depict men and women from various parts of the ancient world. Here's the part we need to get to right here. Among the most beautifully and skillfully executed of all the bronze cave stones are many depicting distinctly West African persons, identifiable even down to the sacrification lines accurately shown in their faces. None of them appear to have been slaves. On the contrary, some wear fine garments and jewelry befitting individuals of rank and influence. So you have in Illinois, objects represent the first physical proof of overseas visitors to the Americas in prehistoric times. Next. Here are some of what the stones they found. Carvings of Africans, okay? Africans in a cave in Illinois, dating back 2,000 years. Next. Here's an article I found. Oh my God, I love this one. The Nevada mummy. Let's stop right there. They have mummies in Nevada? Mummies in Nevada? Where are the mummies, everybody? Egypt, right? Where is Egypt at? Africa. You think so? We're going to discover some more now. Okay, this says, anthropologists say man found in a cave in 1940 is more than 9,400 years old. Okay? Check it out. The remains are kept a secret in a secret location in Carson City Museum. Officials allow reporters to view the mummy on the conditions the site would not be disclosed, okay?
I guarantee you, take this back to your pastor. Take that back to him or her and let them deal with that. And if they can't deal with it, you don't need to be there. One of the most effective ways to suppress a people is by putting a device in place that will disassociate those people from their God, their spirituality, their culture, and their history. So they put a device in place that would ensure their perpetual empowerment over the minds of those whom they deceive.
They found skin, 9,000 years old, and hair, 9,000 years old. It goes on to say at the end, it said the extreme dry environment of the small cave, 15 by 25 feet, provided natural preservation of the soft tissues, and these remains were found buried under the remains of another man which had been ravaged by coyotes. Dancy says scientists believe man was in this area 11 to 12,000 years ago. I can tell you right now, I found another article about a man 9,200 years old in California near a place called Pyramid Lake. Pyramid Lake. Next. Now, more evidence. Arizona Gazette, 1909. Exploration of the Grand Canyon. Okay. It goes on to talk about mysteries of immense rich cavern being brought to light. Let me read this a little bit to you what it says in here, what they found here. It says, the latest news of the progress of the explorations of what is now regarded by scientists as not only the oldest archaeological discovery in the United States, but one of the most valuable in the world, which was mentioned some time ago in the Gazette, was brought to the city yesterday by G.E. Kincaid, the explorer who found the great underground citadel of the Grand Canyon during the trip from Green River, Wyoming, down the Colorado River in a wooden boat to Yuma several months ago. The archaeologists of the Smithsonian Institute, which is financing explorations, have made discoveries which almost conclusively prove that the race which inhabited the mysterious caverns hewn in solid rock by human hands was of Oriental origin, possibly from Egypt, tracing back to Ramses. Understand, at the turn of the century, when you heard the word Oriental, it was synonymous with the word Egyptian. They always taught that Egypt was in the Middle East. The Middle East, Asia, trying to detach Egypt from Africa. But it's clear to let you know that, Egypt is in Africa. Okay? Goes on to say, if their theories are borne out by the translation of the tablets engraved with hieroglyphics, the mystery of the prehistoric people of North America, their ancient arts, who they were and whence they came will be solved. Egypt and the Nile and Arizona and the Colorado will be linked by a historical chain running back to ages which stagger the wildest fancy of the fictionists. Okay? This is about 100 years ago, huh? You heard about this before? The Grand Canyon? Come on! Okay, let me see. Hieroglyphics. Now check this out. This is so deep. I love this. Me and my family, we've been to the Grand Canyon a couple of times, okay? Here it says, on all of the urns, on walls over doorways and tablets of stones that were found by the image, are the mysterious hieroglyphs, the keys to which the Smithsonian Institute hopes yet to discover. These writings resemble those found on the rocks above the valley. They say they got hieroglyphics on rocks above the valley in the Grand Canyon. Now, who wrote hieroglyphics? Okay? The ancient people of Egypt. It goes on to say, these writings resemble those on the rocks about the valley. The engraving of the tablets probably had something to do with the religion of the people. Similar hieroglyphs have been found in the peninsula of the Yucatan, but these are not the same as these found in the Orient. Some believe that the cave dwellers... Anyway, you got what I'm saying here. Now look at the bottom right here. It says, the tomb or crypt in which the mummies were found. Next. They got mummies, not one mummy, got mummies in the crypts and tombs of the Grand Canyon. Now look here, I'm going to show you, this is a map of the Grand Canyon, okay? Here you have Cheops Pyramid, the Tower of Ra, Osiris Temple, Temple of Set. You got Isis, you got Buddha Temple here, you got the Brahma Temple, Diva Temple, okay? Why would they name these places after these people? They know who was here. They just don't have, this is the same location where they found the caves. Okay? Next. This is a picture of the Grand Canyon I have here. You can see here is Isis Temple here. Here's Osiris Temple. Next. Now, here's a pyramid near Atlanta, Georgia. Anybody been to Atlanta recently? You visit the pyramid there? Next. It talks about and the cumulative evidence, it says, let me get down here to some, excuse me now. There we go. The accumulation of evidence makes a convincing case of the emergence of permanent social systems thousands of years earlier than we thought, says Atlanta-based National Park Service archaeologist Michael Russo, who recently fixed the date at a mound complex near Marco Island, Florida at 4,800 years. It changes our whole view of prehistory in North America. Okay, next. This is a picture of the side of that pyramid. Next. Right here on this pyramid, you have this elaborate road, well engineered, symbol of serious civil engineering, okay? And a pyramid near Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, next. Geometric ramps lead to the top of this ancient astrological observatory. Next. Here you have another good article. The problem with Poverty Point was not the mound's ridge, it was the site's age. 3,000 to 4,000 years old. I'm going to bring it home to Baton Rouge right now. Southern University, listen close, Southern University. It says, 2 Poverty Point archaeologists, Dr. James Ford, Dr. Bill Haig, conducted emergency excavations of Mount Sanyo mounds near Baton Rouge. The mounds were leveled shortly after they completed their work. They uncovered permanent evidence of structure under one of the mounds. Charcoal from that mound dated more than 2,000 years earlier than Poverty Point. If Poverty Point is the oldest, and right here in Baton Rouge you got something 2,000 years older than Poverty Point, who was here? And he goes on to say, and this is so deep, 2 archaeologists decided not to publish the dates from the site. After all the disbelief over the age of Poverty Point, they knew no one would accept the very early dates from Mount Sanyo mounds. Between 78 and 82, dates from 3 additional mound sites in South Louisiana predated Poverty Point by over 1,500 years. Banana Bayou, just near Opelousas, Hornsburg near Lafayette, and the LSU campus mounds. The results, here it is now. Why don't you know about this? The results were overlooked by professional community outside Louisiana because mounds of that age simply should not exist.
This land currently remains a free and sovereign land, protected by the national and international law, as provided for in the Maison Rouge and the Bastrop land grants. Her Highness Vertice Tiari Washutaw Turner Gostin L. Bay, the current reigning empress of the Ouachita de Demandia. The Ouachita Turner family waged a very long legal battle in the American courts to secure the Ouachita land protected by the grants. Many of us, as we learn our identity, who we are fully embracing that knowledge and also acting upon that knowledge. Acting to actually come together again as a cohesive group of people, as a nation, and regain ownership of our land. One of the main points that I would like to emphasize about the Ouachita is that we are still here. Some of the larger community here in America would like to have people believe that the indigenous people of this land no longer exist, or that they are all Indians tucked away on reservations somewhere, when actually we are still very much here. We have always been here.
I guarantee you, take this back to your pastor. Take that back to him or her and let them deal with that. And if they can't deal with it, you don't need to be there.